All right, well, let's stay with what we were talking about, the Warriors and the Blazers. Warriors win game one, 116-94. That's right, they win by 22 points going away. Steph Curry is the big story once again, 36 points, 9 3-pointers, also throws in 7 dimes and 6 rebounds. And Klay Thompson, 26 points as well in a supporting role. Now, Rob, the Golden State Warriors, of course, playing without Kevin Durant. In the 3 years since Durant has joined them now, they are now 31-4 without Durant and 4-0 in the playoffs without Durant. That 31-4 is about a 73-win pace, which, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's
what they did without Durant.
Exactly. That's the year they lost the NBA Finals when they were up 3-1. That was the year I remember.
And also the year they beat Kevin Durant's Oklahoma City Thunder
but that was the
after
year,
being down 3-1. Don't forget that
was the year that they lost the championship. The first time in history of the NBA that a team choked down a 3-1 lead. That's what I remember about the 73-win team.
So here is the issue. I think it is now a legitimate question to wonder if the Golden State Warriors are better without Kevin Durant. Now, I'm not saying they are. I think that remains to be seen. We may not get that answer until next season if he leaves. But if he is out, say the rest of this season, and they roll and win the finals, then I think you have to say they're probably better without Kevin Durant.
And if they lose the finals,
then they're not. Then they're not.
Oh, okay.
It's simple as that. I don't have any agenda here. I'm just calling it like I see it. And this to wonder, and I'm not saying they are better without him, because you don't prove you're better without Kevin Durant based on 2 playoff games and based on a game 1. So I'm not going there. But I am saying it's a legitimate question because of the way you see them playing without him, of the sample size, which is not small, that they win 90% of their games when he's out. That their offensive efficiency, their defensive efficiency, their field goal percentage, their opponent's field goal percentage, their three-point percentage, their opponent's three-point percentage, their net rating, all are better when Durant's not there. And this is not a slight on Kevin Durant. And again, I'm not stating, I'm just throwing it out there. Is it possible? Because Kevin Durant is their best player, and Kevin Durant is arguably the best player in the world. But basketball is about more than accumulating the most talent. It is about chemistry. It is about teamwork. It is about trust. It is about finding the best way for your particular talent group or group of players to play, and what system or style will maximize their ability. Case in point, the San Antonio Spurs of 2014, one of the best teams we've seen in recent memory, ran through a more talented Miami Heat team. Tim Duncan, a shell of himself. Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker at best at the end of their prime. At best. Kawhi Leonard, a baby who averaged 12 points in the regular season that year. And they destroyed LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh. Why? Were they more talented? No. They had better chemistry. They had better teamwork. They moved the ball better. Their player movement was better, and they shot the ball better. And that's what the Warriors do when KD's not there. Their ball movement is superior. Their player movement is superior.
So why did they lose 3 straight games to lose to the Cavs? I just don't understand it.
Because they were going against the second best player of all time.
But he just got destroyed by the Spurs.
You asked me a question. Let me finish. Let me answer you. They were playing against the second best player of all time, even by your standards, and a great, likely Hall of Fame player in Kyrie Irving, and a nice supporting cast. And even that series, they lost in 7 games. So it wasn't like they got blasted. It happens. Magic and Kareem got swept in the finals.
Yeah, but it
happens.
Your theory on them being better, I just don't buy.
I'm not saying they are.
Okay.
All I'm stating is this, Rob, and then you can have the floor. It is a legit question. That's all I'm saying.
I don't. When this guy, the last couple of years, has helped them win 2 championships that I'm not so sure that they would have won without him, and he won both Finals MVPs. I think it's a disservice to his ability, what he does, to act as if they're better off with him not being there. I think if he's there, there's no doubt in my mind they're winning the NBA Finals. And I do have doubt. I'm not positive that Steph and the crew are going to win if Kevin Durant doesn't play again. That's the difference. If he's there, I would book it. I bet anything that they would win the NBA Finals. Without him, I don't feel the same way.
That's a feeling.
I'm not convinced at all.
I agree. If Kevin Durant were healthy and playing, I would be feeling like they're gonna definitely win it. And I'm not certain. I'm certain they're gonna roll over Portland, but I'm not certain they can beat Milwaukee without Kevin Durant.
Right.
So I'll give you that.
Okay.
But those are feelings. And again, I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying let's just take our feelings out of it and look at what we are watching.
But we're human. Feelings are part of it.
But feelings don't matter. This is fact. What we're watching. What are you watching? Give me something from what you're watching. Give me some statistics to back up your feelings.
But I've seen them with him, and I've seen how unstoppable they were.
Were they unstoppable last year when they almost lost to Houston? No, in
the finals against one of the greatest players who ever played. They were
players, not teams.
They were
Cavs team was
They were
weak.
8-1, and when they didn't have Kevin Durant, they weren't steamrolling over everybody. They were 7-6 in the NBA, and 7-6 without him.
No, look, I'm not saying, again, I'm just saying it's a question that's out there. And that Cleveland team was weak. Period. Not the one in 16 or even the one in 17. And you're right, they got mauled over. But last year's Cleveland team was weak. They wouldn't have got through the West like they got through the East, even without playing Golden State. But I'm just putting it out there. Kevin Durant is great. And again, it's no slight on him. The Los Angeles Lakers turned out to be better without Elgin Baylor when they won the title. He had been to 8 finals, never won it. But had played with Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain.
But the only difference
and Gail Goodrich.
What's the difference between Elgin Baylor and Kevin Durant, though? What's the difference?
Durant's better,
and
Durant
won.
Greats.
But Durant has won 2 championships and was the Finals MVP twice.
But they won without him. And stop. Can we stop throwing out the Finals MVP it's this?
They give it away.
End all.
They give it away.
You're the best player on the team because you won the Finals MVP.
No, they give it away.
Was Cornbread Maxwell the best player?
It doesn't matter.
On the Bird Celtics?
It doesn't matter.
Was Tony Parker the best player on the Duncan Spurs when he won it? Was Kawhi Leonard the best player when he won it?
All I know is
stop it with
Kevin
that.
Durant.
Andre Iguodala, James Worthy.
Kevin Durant was the best player. That's all I know. You can talk about everything else. He was the best player.
I'm not saying he's not the best player. I stated in my argument, he is the best player on the Warriors. But that doesn't necessarily mean the team isn't better without him. And again, I'm not saying they are. I feel the same way you feel, Rob. Like I feel with Durant, they're definitely winning it. Without him, I don't know. But I'm open to changing my mind as I watch things unfold.
And if they don't
because
win,
I know basketball is not just I'll give you an example. If LeBron James went to the Warriors instead of KD, they would win championships because their talent would be through the roof and LeBron's a smart player and all that. But they'd be much different because it'd be LeBron handling the ball, driving, kicking out to Steph and Clay, who would be glorified spot-up shooters. And they wouldn't flow as well as they do now. So they're just having the most talent doesn't always mean you're better.
All right. I just, it's hard for me. I guess I'll wait and see because if they do lose, I think the whole narrative about Steph changes. I really, if they don't.
No, and it can. I mean, I'm open. I'm like you. I'm waiting to see. I'm just saying it's a legit question. When you look at the numbers.
I know, but Steph, even during this run, it's 2.5 great games. He hadn't been great from the beginning of the playoffs. It's 2.5 games.
What you say is not great for most players.
No,
is
for Steph, the
career.
Greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah,
right?
because when Durant's there, he plays differently. That's a fact.
Why,
That's
though?
the point of what I'm saying.
Why does he, if he's the greatest shooter of all time? Why is he?
Well, first of all, being the greatest, I heard you on the herd talking about that too. Nobody said he's the greatest player of all time.
Why not? He's the greatest shooter.
Because that doesn't mean there's more to the game than shooting.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Nobody ever said he's the greatest player, but he is unquestionably the greatest shooter. And you want to say, oh, you don't base that on one shot that Ray Allen hit. How about the whole second half against Houston? How about all the threes he hit last night in a critical game?
That game was a blowout. What was that critical?
It was a blowout because he was dropping 9 threes.
But that game was never in doubt. I never thought that game
was a 6-point game in the start of the fourth?
Their best player was having a horrendous night. They were not going to win that game.
Why?
I don't know.
Was he just having a horrendous night because he wanted to, or was the defense stifling?
Is that what it was, or was he not up for the task?
All right, let's let you guys weigh in. Rob's clearly out of arguments.
No, I'm not.
877-99 on Fox. 877-996-6369. I'm not stating it. I'm just open to watching. That's all. That's all. Are the Warriors better without Kevin Durant? We will continue the conversation with you next.
Let's go to Jabril in Atlanta. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Jabril?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, the Warriors, I think they better without KD. You know, I still think he's a good player now, but even when they didn't have him, you know, we saying he's the second greatest player, and they beat the second best player without him. And, you know, when they
also choked down a 3-1.
Yeah, they did that. They did it to the best player. They beat the second best player. You know, that 73 win team, and KD was. And you know when KD said LeBron brought a toxic environment, but like when you think about it, LeBron never had like no kind of disputes with his teammates. And like since KD went to Golden State, that's when they started having like, you know, it might have been small, but well. You mean
after they won the 2 championships? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did that, but he still brought a toxic environment.
How's that toxic? Winning?
Yeah, I don't think KD brought a toxic
I just don't buy that.
I think you look, like I said, I agree with him in throwing it out there. Is it possible? I think we got to wait and see, but I think it is possible they're better. But I don't think he's brought a toxic environment.
877-99 on Fox. What about Sean in Sacramento? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Odd Couple, man. I've been missing y'all, man. Just got back from Italy, so ciao to y'all, man. I was listening to y'all like 1 a.m. out there.
Man, how was the trip? I love Italy. I know you ate like a king.
I ate like a king, man. I ended up proposing to my wife, or my future wife.
Wow.
So I don't know if that was a good thing. Ask Chris, or I don't know if that's a bad thing. Asking you, Big Rob.
No,
that's a great thing, man. Congratulations.
And I'll tell you this: I might have only been married for 5 years, and we were together for 7. But when we got married, I was the happiest man on earth. No doubt about it.
I'm looking forward to it. The planning process right now is like pulling teeth, though. So hopefully, once we get this over with, I'm good to go. But the point I wanted to make, man, is I think Chris hit the nail on the head. I know you just threw it out there, but I think KD kind of makes this team a little bit worse in the fact that they always have to play outside of the game plan. I know that they're winning. I know the talent's there. But then you look at times when they start losing their depth, when Cousins goes down, when KD goes down, they're stretched so thin as far as like people that could score. Without KD, you look at the depth they had in their previous lineups, and I don't think there's any comparison. Besides losing in that championship when they won 73 games, this team is probably one of the best teams ever assembled.
So when they lose in the NBA Finals, it will be what? What will be the excuse?
It won't be an excuse.
No, I'm asking Sean.
Not as good without Kevin Durant.
Oh, okay. I'm asking Sean.
They're not going to lose. Are you talking about this year? They would not lose. I have a feeling they're going to sweep, number one, the Blazers, and I feel like they could sweep the Bucks if they happen to make it.
I'm asking you, what would be your take if they lose the finals?
It would have happened.
Okay. All right.
Let me ask you, Rob, let me ask you, because you're throwing it on the caller. What will be your take if let's say they sweep the Blazers without KD and win the finals in 5 or 6 games without KD? What will be your take?
I still believe they're better with KD.
But no matter what the evidence
no matter what, I still believe they're better with KD.
So you just think anytime you have more talent, you're a better team?
I just think depending on maybe Portland really isn't ready to be in the Western Conference Finals. They don't show up. Damian Lillard has an awful series. I don't know what the scenario is. Maybe they face,
what about Milwaukee?
Maybe they face Giannis in them and they're not ready for that stage. They're getting there, and maybe Giannis wins in 2 or 3 years, but he's not ready.
These are called excuses.
Like when LeBron showed up. No, everybody said when LeBron showed up in the NBA Finals in 2000, what was that, 7 or whatever it was?
Right.
Oh, yeah, but they weren't ready yet. But
nobody took credit away from the Spurs.
No, but I'm just saying.
You would be taking.
I'm not taking credit away.
You're not even open, no matter what you see. You're just not open to the possibility they could be better without KD.
I just don't think.
No matter what your eyes
thought
tell you.
when me and you both, we agreed on this. Even when KD went down, we both believed that they could beat Houston. Not so much that it's all about them, but we didn't believe in Houston.
Well, for me, a part of it was.
But did you believe in Houston, though? Did you really?
To some degree, yeah.
I never thought they were going to win.
My thing is, but just watching, I'm not just going off what I feel because KD is such a great player. I'm watching. They're clearly different. Steph is clearly different without KD. That's undeniable. That's all I'm saying.
Let's squeeze in another one. Jason in Florida. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Jason?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I think that they're without KD. I think that in the finals.
You think they're what? We didn't hear. We
lost you. You said they're what without KD?
I think they're better without KD. In fact, I think if KD comes back, I would love to see Milwaukee beat them in the finals. I really think that Milwaukee's up for it this year. I mean, maybe KD will come back and win, but I really think that they will. If
KD comes back, Jason, and wins the Finals MVP and balls out in the finals, you would still feel the same way?
If KD does it?
Yeah, say he wins his 3rd straight, they win the championship, and KD is the MVP for the 3rd year in a row.
That'd be great, but I'm just saying I really don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's up for it. To be honest with you, I'm not very impressed with what he's done. Because he joined a team with 2 Hall of Famers. He's a Hall of Famer, so
that means
Draymond's probably a Hall of Famer too, based on their winning.
And one of the other things I really a lot of people don't point out is when he joined that team, LeBron also lost Kyrie. They were going against that was like LeBron when he was going to the finals against San Antonio, like you guys were talking about. He had Larry Hughes as his number 2 guy. I think the last
but they
years,
made it there. They made it there, Jason. If they would have won, would you not have counted that championship for LeBron? I don't even get that. In 2007, had they won, would you not count it?
Of course. No,
okay. All right. That's what I'm asking.
Of course you would count that.
All right. I'm just saying. You won't count it because they lost, but if it would have counted if he won.
All right. A rising star on the NBA analysis scene. You can see him on all the networks. And also an author. Real Tough Juice is our man, Caron Butler. What's happening, man?
How you?
Hey, what's going on, brother, man? How y'all doing?
We're great. We're great. I'm going to ask you, start off with this. We've been talking about it. Is it possible? I think I know where you're going to go as a former player, but is it possible Golden State is better without their best player, Kevin Durant?
Absolutely not. I mean, they're not better without Kevin Durant. But I think that they're, just playing excellent basketball. That Hampton Five is just a special group, intriguing group to watch. They feed off each other. They got great team continuity. And I think that's why Kevin Durant elected to go there in free agency, because he was able to make the seamless transition, so acquiring him made them unstoppable. But they still a championship caliber team without him. And then I'll go as far as saying you possibly can lose another key component on that team, and they're still capable because guys just, they really excel in their roles, man. They understand what's required of them night in and night out. And as long as you get those Splash Brothers open and they clicking, man, it's tough to stop them, man.
What do you say, Caron, about Damian Lillard? What happened last night? Just a clunker, even though he had a bad Game 7 as well? Or is this the stage too big for him? What's going on with Damian?
Well, the stage is definitely not too big for him, man. The brother was, quoting 48 Laws of Power and Art of War and all type of stuff throughout the playoffs, man. I mean, the step up on that moment, I think he hit one of the most memorable shots in NBA history in the first round when you're talking about nailing that shot over Paul George and, with the bye-bye. You know what I mean? I think that was just, crazy to see. But, look, maybe he's a little fatigued. Maybe he's a little wore down. And maybe, just throwing a lot of different looks at him because I've seen him blitz him on numerous occasions. I've seen him red him. I've seen him go under on some things. So, they're tricking him with the disguises on the defensive end of the floor, which might just keep him off balance and keep him guessing.
Caron, we saw with the draft lottery last night, of course, New Orleans won. Now that they can get Zion, they've obviously still got Drew Holiday. They could be in position to have about $25 million in cap space to go out and add another player. Do you think Anthony Davis should reconsider and maybe, stay there?
Well, here's the thing. Like, when you look at the history of the game of basketball, and I want people to really understand this, when you're talking about winning organizations and franchises, let's just go down the history. The Golden State Warriors, more recent and current, Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan era in the 90s, and even somewhat with Derrick Rose when you're talking about being in contention. But then you got to move to the Lakers and the Boston Celtics, obviously San Antonio Spurs, and then the Miami Heat. And, you can throw the Detroit Pistons in there with the Bad Boys era and then Chauncey Billups and how they dominated the Eastern region. And then wherever LeBron was at, like winning and success followed him. But outside of that, it's only a handful of organizations that really know how to get it done. And then you have the one-offs, like the championship that we won with the Dallas Mavericks. And you may have those teams that just make it because kind of the timing and everything was going right and the energy and the basketball guys was in your favor and things just happen. But, however, it's certain organizations that get it. They're willing to invest. They're willing to pay the luxury tax and go all in. And I don't think the Pelicans are that. Yeah, they're fun to watch, and I think, once they was trending in the right direction, and they had Rajon Rondo, they had Anthony Davis, they had Drew Holiday, they signed on some quality pieces, and then you had some depth going down the bench, you elected to remove those quality pieces. You elected not to re-sign Boogie Cousins on something that you could have probably got him for, bare minimum or gave him a 3-year max of some sort. But you elected not to continue to build and keep that momentum in your favor. So that showed me, just as on the outside looking in, that you wasn't serious about winning. And I think Anthony Davis and his team see that as well. So he's done with the experiment process of being a part of that. He wants to go to an organization where he can win and win now and then be on the big stage because he's kind of in a log jam down there with the Pelicans, and people don't even understand the numbers that he's putting up is astronomical, and they go unnoticed because of the market that he's in.
It's the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. Caron Butler is our guest, of course, NBA analyst, author, and NBA champion. Last night was kind of a downer, or at least I thought in NBA America, and I think even we saw a little bit from Zion, all the Knick talk and New York and all that, and then it doesn't happen. He winds up going to NBA Siberia. Was it kind of a bummer, or am I making too big of a deal out of it that he wound up going to New Orleans instead of somewhere else?
Man, I think it was frustrating because I think when you look at it from his standpoint, a young kid that's excited to play the game of basketball, and then you get these lofty expectations on what platform you'll be on, and he started to dream. You know what I mean? And when you start dreaming in the Big Apple, those dreams don't have no ceilings. But when you start dreaming other places, you're kind of capped out and you have limitations. And I know he's thinking, wow, what can I do with the Pelicans? How can I maximize that space? What's going on with Anthony Davis? Is that the type of situation I want to be in? And all those things happen. So what's going to be like something that everyone should pay close attention to, I think it's the May 29th date where he can elect to probably return to the collegiate level, which I don't think he'll do. But also think about some of the things that happened in the past. Back in 1989, number 2 pick, we talk about Danny Manning when he had a situation with the Clippers where he elected to go overseas and play, a season. Think about what Brandon Jennings did he elected to go overseas. Like, it's a lot of scenarios that, look, Zion Williamson is not part of the collective bargaining agreement once he pivot and go away from his draft rights. That means that he's not part of the CBA. So he can really elect to do exactly whatever he wants to do independently.
What's your gut, though? Do you think that he's that kind of guy that would do something like that?
Yeah, I don't think he's that type of guy, but you got to understand that who's his representation going to be.
He doesn't even have an agent.
He doesn't have one, right? Yeah.
Not yet, but he's definitely going to need someone because this is a situation that you got to tread water very slim and lightly because you don't want to ruffle any feathers. You don't want to damage your brand or your image. You don't want to have, your AAU coach trying to navigate through this space. You need people that really understand, leverage and leverage power. And, I think he understands that, and I think he's going to get with the right group or boutique company that can focus and analyze the situation and find what's best for the kid.
Caron, we got about a minute left. Give us your breakdown of the Milwaukee-Toronto series, who you think will win, and also the Kawhi-Giannis matchup.
Man, that's the matchup that everybody wants to see. I think it's the 2 best players in the Eastern Conference. Been like that throughout the playoffs. I had the Bucks winning that series. I had the Bucks Warriors in the finals with the Warriors winning in 6. If Kevin Durant plays, if he doesn't play, I got them winning in 7 because they just got a championship pedigree. They find a way to figure it out. I just think that, Giannis is a guy that, elevates his team. He's the reigning. I think he's going to be the MVP this season, and he got those guys clicking on all cylinders when you're talking about top 5 offense and defense in the association. And then Kawhi Leonard is just, he's capable of doing pretty much anything. So that it is a 50-50 series, but I'm leaning toward the Bucks.
I want to follow up something you said. Okay, let's say Kevin Durant doesn't come back and the Warriors win without him. He may be leaving anyway, but does he almost have to leave if that happens? He doesn't come back and they still win the championship?
I don't think he has to leave. You know what I mean? Just because they won the championship without him, I feel like the reason why they're so good is because of him. And I think that they're playing so hard because there's expectations. You know what I mean? You want to continue to keep that thing going. That is a dynasty, a true dynasty, and they're destined for a three-peat right now. And I think all those guys want to continue to win, so that can be the ultimate carrot when you're talking about in free agency. It's like, bruh, man, look, let's continue to build our legacies. Don't leave us. And I think that's what it's all about.
All right. That's the words of the great Caron Butler. We appreciate the knowledge, man.
Man, 100, bro. Appreciate y'all having me on.
All right. Later. All right. Last night we saw the draft lottery and number 1 pick Zion Williamson, or projected number 1 pick, got a brother to thinking. Who are the best 6 number 1 picks since the draft lottery began 33 years ago, really 34 years ago, in 1985. All right, here we go.
Number 6.
Patrick Ewing, New York Knicks, drafted in 1985. The first draft lottery, the frozen envelope, a lot of people thought it was fixed with him going to New York. Look, Ewing's legacy would be even greater than it already is if in 1994 they had beaten the Houston Rockets in the NBA Finals in Game 7. They lost to Houston in Game 7. Hakeem Olajuwon, who did outplay Ewing in that series, he really saw his legacy rise with that win. And Ewing, in large part to John Starks going 2 for 18, saw his legacy kind of drop as he was outplayed by Olajuwon. But he's still an all-time great, a top 10 center of all time, and number 6 on this list.
Number 5.
The icon, the answer, Allen Iverson. All right, Iverson, culturally, very few players have meant more to the NBA than him. He is the epitome of the collaboration of hip-hop culture and basketball. But beyond that, he was just a great player, pound for pound, especially. The 7th scoring all-time on the all-time scoring list for points per game 26.6 points a game. Check this out. He is the only player 6 feet or under in the top 77 when it comes to all-time points per game. The legendary Isaiah Thomas is number 78, averaged 19.2 points a game. So AI got to get his props.
Number 4.
The Admiral, David Robinson, drafted in 1987 by the San Antonio Spurs. Really, you could give him a lot of credit for setting that culture in San Antonio. Before him, you had George Gervin, great player, the Iceman, but couldn't lead them to a championship. And it was just an entirely different culture there. David Robinson came in very professional, just the admirable, like one of the classiest guys to ever play in the league. 3-time MVP, won 2 championships with the help of Tim Duncan.
Number 3.
Speaking of the big fundamental, Tim Duncan, third best number 1 draft pick in the lottery era, the best power forward of all time, 5 championships with the Spurs, 6 appearances in the finals. And if the San Antonio Spurs are the New England Patriots of the NBA, then Tim Duncan is the Tom Brady of the NBA. And he is a GOAT, the greatest power forward of all time.
Number 2.
Got to give it to Shaq Diesel, drafted in 1992 by the Orlando Magic. Call him the big Aristotle. Call him Shaq Diesel, Shaq Fu. Even he called himself, when he started hitting a few free throws, Shakovich. And that means he was the most charismatic center in the history of the game. And also the greatest rapper in NBA history. Whether you think Damian Lillard's skills are better and all that, and they probably are, as far as success, his first album, Shaq Diesel, went platinum. So Shaq found a way to cross over, but also won 4 championships, played with some of the best swingmen of all time, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and Penny Hardaway. Shaq definitely at number 2.
Number 1.
Of course, you know who it is. Drafted in 2003, told y'all Cleveland was going to be lit up like Vegas when he stepped into the building, and he lived up to the hype. LeBron James, the second best player of all time. Don't sleep because the Lakers didn't make the playoffs this year. LeBron James has been all that he was cracked up to be, and even then some. Really, you can give him a lot of credit for kicking in the era of positionless basketball. Is he a point guard? Is he a point forward? But he scores so much. He's the 4th leading scorer of all time, the only player in history to be in the top 5 scoring and top 10 assists. He's number 10 in assists and going to keep moving up that list. So there you have it. Broussard's Big 6, number 1 draft picks in NBA lottery history. Is there any critique of that, Rob? It's just a pretty solid list. You got any changes you'd make?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's pretty hard to argue with the list. No, it's from top to bottom. I think you nailed everybody, got everybody in the list. You might.
Rob G had Dwight Howard number 6 instead of Ewing. I told him that's just because he's young.
Well, he didn't see Patrick Ewing.
Was.
Yeah. Ewing was the best shooting big man I ever saw. He was unbelievable.
Keep it locked.